Hello everyone, MFPallytime here. Welcome back to Heroes of the Storm. Hopefully that whole intro was in there. In today's video, I want to warn you guys right now, as I often do with these theory crafting videos, this is not going to be for everyone. We are going to go into try mode. We are going to take a long, boring, drawn-out look on the PTR for the new character. We're going to look at all of her talents and then try to come up with a build that will be suitable for use in Quick Match and Hero League. I have my... Oh, you guys did hear the intro. I have my face cam on. I don't know why. Also, this is a live stream, so if you hear me interacting with chat and you're watching the VOD later, that is a thing. So we're going to go into the shop, we're going to check her out. I actually really like her model a lot, and I liked the fact that, I don't know, she like enhances part of her clothing to attack the enemy. Something about that just seems so strange. Got back from vacation, guys. I'm not feeling too great, but we're going to try to ignore that. So, Auriel. I'm going to try really hard not to call her Auriel, even though Sebastian the Crab called Auriel, and the Little Mermaid, and Under the Sea, etc., etc., etc. We're going to go ahead and toggle off cooldowns just so I can show you her abilities. So what we have here is our Q ability. This is called Sacred Sweep, and it's going to sweep the entire area of this whole thing. It's huge. It is huge. She's going to be able to sweep this whole area and deal bonus damage to the center target. So at level 20 with no talents at all, keep in mind she is a support hero, but at level 20 with no talents at all, we're going to do 175 damage to our target if they're not in the middle, and 351 to the target if they are in the middle. And it's just a pretty good way for her to clear lanes and do some damage. I'll show you how it works on a minion wave here. Once they make their way over, as you can see, if you hit the minion wave right in the middle, you're pretty much gonna cut the effectiveness of that minion wave in half. Now this does have an 8-second cooldown, but there are some talents that she could do to augment the cooldown of this ability, to lower it a little bit. Her W ability is her only heal, and it is Ray of Heaven. What Ray of Heaven does is it consumes your stored energy, which you can see down at the bottom left of the screen and also right under her health bar. That is her stored energy. And she will consume all of that energy, all of it. Doesn't matter how much you have, it'll take all of it. And heal in a targeted area. So it's kind of a skill shot, more of a targeted heal. But it will heal all of the allies in that area. I don't know if it works on many ways, but we can go figure that out pretty quick. This can be self-cast by holding down Alt if you just want to drop it right underneath you if someone's chasing you. It does not work on minions, so it's only heroes. Only heroes. But it's this whole area, and it's pretty damn good. You'll notice that it heals for the amount of energy that you have. So we have 1,108. Okay, it's healed for one less, but the target dummy received 1,107 healing. Now, it is difficult to build up the charge, and that's really the difficult part of playing her. It's going to be healing your allies while generating this charge. We do have cooldowns turned off, but as you can see, when we do use that, it does drain all of our energy, and then we have to regain it versus this Arthas if we want to heal again. We have 481 energy now, and we heal for 481. So that's how that works. Turning cooldowns back off. Her E ability is called Detainment Strike. It's a straight line skill shot, pretty instantaneous. You really don't have to lead your target much at all. And what it'll do is knock back a target that's hit with it. So this Arthas here, we can just go ahead and knock him back. If he hits a building or any type of wall or terrain, the target is going to be stunned. And this is huge. This is one of her best things in her whole kit. So it's going to deal initial damage whenever we hit him. Oh, excuse me. 219 damage when we hit Arthas. If they collide with terrain, they'll be stunned for 1.25 seconds. And then take additional 219 damage. So effectively doubling the damage of the ability if we're able to stun them into terrain. Really, really strong. Now that does have a 14-second cooldown, and it is going to really require you to position very, very well to get the most out of this character. Also worth noting that it does not deal damage to minions, only heroes. But you can move the target dummy. Go back. Go back over here. Does the target, will the target dummy drain ammunition out of my towers? Hold on, we need to test this real quick. This is important. I think he's stuck. Oh, there we go. Goes over walls. Okay, I reset him. Okay. All right. And her trait is actually one of the most interesting parts of her whole kit. We're going to toggle off cooldowns, and we're going to have to toggle on Malfurion Storm Rage. I could target Malfurion with my trait, and it's called Bestow Hope. So there's a giant paragraph here, so bear with me for just a moment. But 40% of the damage you deal to heroes and 8% of the damage dealt to non-heroes is stored as energy. We already kind of established this. We generate energy by going in and dealing damage, and we get more energy for dealing damage to heroes. But we can bestow hope upon an ally, like Malfurion right here, and it's going to put a crown over Malfurion's head. You can then see after we do that, we get a very large Sergeant Hammer style radius around us, and as long as Malfurion is in this range, what it's going to do is bestow an allied hero with hope. While they remain near you, damage they deal causes you to gain energy. You can only have one bestow hope on an ally at a time. So any damage that this Malfurion deals is going to be generating energy for my future heals. So you kind of have to use this on the right person. And there are some talents that augment this, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good if you could use it right. If you have really aggressive, constant damage-dealing heroes, I thought Illidan would be great in this scenario. We tried testing it with Kerrigan. I've played 2 games as Auriel and 1 game with Auriel on the PTR, just in custom games with viewers. And really strong, consistent damage is just so good for feeding her energy while she's staying safe. And just her base kit really seems like she is very strong when attacking, when you're the aggressor. But if you're running away from conflict, it can be a little hard to deal with. Now we're going to talk about her ultimate abilities, her heroic abilities at level 10. The first one is Resurrect, which in theory sounds incredible. Resurrect. Channel on the spirit of a dead ally for 3 seconds, bringing them back to life with 50% of their maximum health at the location where they died. Like, sounds incredible. I thought this was going to be amazing. I'm going to toggle off cooldowns, and I have to figure out a way to kill Malfurion. So this is my attempt at trying to actually show you how the ability works. We need to push it here, and we need to get Malfurion killed. I'm just going to cleave all of this down, and I'm going to use my healing to keep me alive. And then when Malfurion comes back, I'm going to reset the buildings and see if he gets stuck in here. The more I talk about it, the less I think it's going to work, but I'm still going to try. Come on, Furion. Come on. Furion. Come in here. Go hit the building, Furion. Walk in there. No, Arthas is that way. Come on, just a couple more steps. Okay, so it doesn't work. Anyway, what happens is when a target dies, you're going to see a golden figure of that target. So let's just assume that I'm pure gold, or, you know, Greymane is pure gold or something. And then there's going to be a number just hovering over the target. And the number is the length of their death timer. So later in the game, let's say they have a 60-second death timer, you'll be able to see that death timer next to them. You'll be able to see where they died, and then you can resurrect them. Now, the drawback to the ability, and the big problem that I see with the ability, is the fact that Resurrect only has this much of a cast range, This is it. And you have to channel for 3 seconds. That is a fucking long time. Let's just walk over here for a second. Just normal tower damage. This isn't even team fight damage. 1, 2, 3. That's how much damage I took in 3 seconds. Versus towers. It's not even fucking hero. So if I want to save someone, not only do I have to stop moving, not only do I have to stop healing my allies, not only do I have to stop crowd controlling for my allies, but I have to stand still and try to channel this incredibly short ranged ability. The only time I see this useful is if you've already disengaged from the fight, someone died, and then you just go get him up. It seems like kind of, well, you already lost the team fight, so make the most out of it kind of a situation. And the level 20 upgrade doesn't increase the range at all, so it's always going to be you walking into melee and trying to do this. And it's very likely that if the person died, so let's say, for instance, the person died over here, it's very likely that the enemy team is still going to be pushing into you. So having to move into that to res someone just doesn't seem very likely. And I just want you to keep that in mind. Like, bringing someone back situationally can be fucking incredible. You can totally sway the outcome of a team fight if you get a good res. But the odds of that actually happening don't seem very good. And her other heroic ability, I like this one a lot more. This one is Crystal Agus. It's place an allied hero in stasis for 2 seconds. Upon expiration, Crystal Agus deals 616 damage at level 20 to all nearby enemies. And this is what it looks like. This has a 60-second cooldown. I believe Resurrect has a 90-second cooldown. But Crystal Agus looks like this. You can cast it on yourself. You'll be put in a stasis. We don't have cooldowns, so I'll just keep doing it. You get put in a stasis, and then everyone around you takes that burst damage. It's not a ton of burst damage, but in the middle of a team fight, that could be some pretty significant AoE damage. And this is great for buying your team some time, maybe for some cooldowns. It's great for just your tank initiating or zoning out of an area. And dropping this, people will most often just kind of move out of this. And it is enough time for people to kind of just, you know, back up. So in most cases, I do think that this is the go-to. It can be targeted on anyone within this range, which is pretty respectable, or you could target it on yourself by either clicking on yourself or holding down the Alt modifier. Okay, so those are all of her abilities. Let's start looking at the talents. We'll go ahead and toggle some minions in here. By the way, I hope the sound's okay. I kind of buffed the game volume a little bit because I thought it was a little too quiet in the earlier ones. Hopefully you could hear me over it just fine. I get thumbs up for the audio. Hopefully it's okay. Let's go ahead and minions are back on. We're gonna reset our talents. So, level 1, Swift Sweep. Increases the cast speed of Sacred Sweep by 50%. The cast speed is just the animation time it takes for the clap to happen, right? So this is the animation time normally. Let's toggle off cooldowns. You get a feel for it. This is the animation time normally. And this is with the new one. So pretty instantaneous, but it's really not that hard to deal that damage, the center damage. It's not that hard to deal that damage to a target at all. So I really don't know if this is actually necessary. And it's not like you're going to get more damage out of it. It's only the animation. It doesn't reduce the cooldown in any capacity. I suppose in a situation where someone is running away like this, being able to get that last little bit of damage off might be good. But it doesn't seem overwhelmingly good. Situational at best, I would say. We'll go ahead and reset talents. Then we have Increased Clarity. Every time Sacred Swipe hits a hero in the center, increase its center damage by 3 up to 60. After hitting 20 heroes, the center damage bonus is doubled to 120. So we can go ahead and test this relatively quickly. Walk right over here. And it won't take long to max this out with no cooldowns. But it looks like the outside damage, which this guy gets hit by as well. So if they're a center, they get hit by the outer damage as well? Oh, I didn't realize that. So he's getting it for 100, and maybe that was a bug, actually, because it's not doing it anymore. The outer damage is dealing 182, and the center damage is starting to spike. We have a new sponsor, Coke Bottle. Thank you for supporting the channel. Starting to spike, 419, 422, and I believe we just completed the quest. It's dealing 485 damage at level 20 if you hit them in the center, which is good. Remember, this only has an 8-second cooldown, and I believe there are some... Nope, it's in the same tier. So if you want that bonus damage, if you're confident in landing this very often on the enemy, that can stack up quite a bit. There's no risk of losing it, like with Medivh. It won't go away. It's not like Power Within, where if you die, it's gone. So it's just increasing your damage output throughout the course of the game. And remember that 40% of the damage you deal to heroes is then converted into this energy. So if you want more energy, dealing more damage is probably a good way to get it. Not bad. This is probably the talent that I would recommend in most cases, but we'll go ahead and we'll take a look at the others as well. So, reset talents. Righteous Assault reduces the cooldown of Sacred Sweep by 2 seconds for each enemy hero hit, up to a total of 4 seconds. So, if you hit 2 enemies with the center? No. If you hit 2 enemies at all with this ability, it's going to reduce the cooldown. If you hit 1 enemy, it reduces it by 2 seconds. If you hit 2, it reduces it by 4. She doesn't have a mana resource to fund these, so it's like, if you want to do more stuff, do more stuff. Again, I think I would like increased clarity a bit more than this, but I think they're about the same. And then the last option, we have Searing Light. Ray of Heaven also deals damage to enemies in the area up to 30% of the enemy consumed. I do think this one could be strong if you're going for a certain build. But there is something I wanted to test with this particular talent. Does this talent also give us energy back? So, remember, 40% of the energy we deal, or damage we deal versus heroes grants energy. What if we just deal damage with our energy spender? It looks like it does give us a little bit of energy back. So, that's worth keeping in mind, I guess. It's also worth mentioning that there are some builds that could turn this into an absolute nuke if built properly. Does it deal damage to everything or just heroes? Okay, so situational. If you have a melee assassin, if you have a really aggressive warrior that's going in and he's going to need a lot of healing, this is a way to help nuke the target down. Again, I don't think it's the most reliable of the level 1 talent choices, but I could definitely see a scenario where this would be good. And I'll try to explain that before the video's over, because it's not going to be good right away. It's going to be good later on down the talent tree. We want to reset talents, and we're going to go with the quest talent, because it's just strong. It's just going to give us more energy and more damage throughout the course of the whole match. So we have Majestic Span at level 4, increases the radius of sweeping, or of Sacred Sweep. I'm just going to call it the clap. Let's just call it the clap. It'll be chlamydia. Increases the radius of the clap by 20%. This is the radius before. Let's toggle off cooldowns. This is the radius before. And this is the radius after. This does, I believe, this does make the center area bigger as well. So if you're going for that bonus damage in the center, this could make it a bit easier to actually land. The other options at level 4, I haven't actually tried any of these at all. But the other options at this level range, we have Heavy Burden. When an enemy hero is stunned by the Detainment Strike, by your E ability, when they're stunned by your knockback, remember they're only stunned if they collide with a terrain or object or a building or anything like that. But when they are stunned, they also have their movement speed slowed by 35% for 3 seconds. This will be a kill in most scenarios. especially in the middle of a team fight. If you can get a stun and a slow for 3 seconds, probably going to be a kill, especially if your team is already winning the team fight, right? So definitely situational, definitely good on the right maps. For instance, Battlefield of Eternity. There's little fucking walls and tiny little narrow walkways everywhere. And if you're good at positioning for a stun like that, you can really get a lot of value out of this. And we also have every time Detonation Strike stuns a hero, the stun damage, increase the stun damage by 10 up to 100. After stunning 10 heroes, increase the damage by an additional 100. So we're gonna test this out without cooldowns, just to see the scaling on that at level 20. Okay, that's 1 stun there. That's 282 damage. Or 228 damage, excuse me, dyslexia, it's a hell of a drug. So it doesn't look like the initial... Yeah, the initial one is still doing 228. And then the bonus one, now we're getting that critical. So that, I mean, that's 700 burst damage, basically. So the base attack is still doing the default damage of 228. But then we're also getting a critical hit of 428 in there as well. Which is a lot. Again, it won't be as much consistent damage output as just increasing the sweep radius. And the sweep radius is a lot easier to do. But pretty good damage. Pretty good damage in the right circumstance. Again, I think I would recommend that you go for the quest at level 1 and then the majestic span at level 4. Level 7, Bursting Light. I have to touch my camera before it turns off. What's up, ladies? Bursting Light reduces the cooldown of Ray of Heaven by 2 seconds. I have found that I'm never really waiting on this cooldown. I'm never really waiting on the cooldown at all, because your W ability only has a 4-second cooldown anyway. Usually what I find myself waiting on is the energy to actually get a really good Breath of Heaven off. As you can see right now, I've used all of my abilities. No one on my team's dealing damage with Bestowed Hope. So even if I had, you know, I could heal right now. But would that heal really be good? Probably not. I personally would want to save a little bit more of that energy and actually get a real good, meaningful heal off, rather than just spamming it every 2 seconds. Now, that may be a playstyle choice, and maybe in further testing we find that, you know, just using your heal when you have the heal is a good thing. Maybe you don't need Flash of Light or Holy Light strong heals like that every time. You know, maybe you do just need a little tiny heal, maybe a 300, a 400, just to keep someone alive in the middle of a team fight. I personally don't think the cooldown reduction's worth it all. New sponsor, Odin V. Thank you for supporting the channel. Now, there's another one here, and it's going to be really weird for those of you that know me. So, Glimmer of Hope. Collecting a regeneration globe reduces the cast of your next holy, excuse me, I wanted to call it holy light. Reduces the cost of your next ray of heaven by 35%. So we pick up a regen globe, and all of a sudden, our next heal is more efficient. Again, I don't think that's worth it. And I like regen globe talents. I really like regen globe talents, and I just don't think that one's going to give you any value. Or at least not as much value. I really don't think it's quite worth. The one that I would recommend picking up, there's two. There's two I would recommend in this tier. We have Energized Chord. Increases the energy stored from basic attacks by 100% of the damage against heroes and 30% of the damage against non-heroes. Now, this is only basic attack increases. But if we go ahead and pick this up, you can see... Did I really get... Oh, no, I didn't spend it. You can see you can stack up your energy very, very fast without having to rely on your cooldowns. And I think that's very, very valuable. I think that's fantastic. And then you can spend it and continue to build this up. Keep in mind, you would also have Bestowed Hope on a target that would be going in and dealing damage. And this is great sustain for you for just going in and trading with a target to get this energy. And as you can see, the 4-second cooldown isn't hindering me in any way. And in this type of scenario where I'm just 1v1 versus a target, keep in mind I'm going to be healing for 1,000 basically every 4 seconds because we're able to generate this much energy. We're able to generate this much stuff, and it's really, really good. The other option at the level would be Empathetic Link. Now, this is going to be an upgrade to the activatable part of your trait, and it's going to store 25% energy for the amount of damage that they take. So say you take 100 damage from an auto attack, and we put this on our warrior, someone who's going in a lot and dealing a lot of damage on the front line. They take 100 damage, we store 25 energy. So that can add up really quick too. But this kind of relies on your target always being in combat, your target always going in and just taking damage all the time, which won't always happen. So I personally like Energized Chord a little bit better because it allows me to be a bit more aggressive. It allows me to go in and attack a lot more without having to rely on someone to just go in and take damage. Also, keep in mind, you cannot put the crown on yourself, so I can't go in and just take damage and hope for more out of this. So, Energized Chord, man. Pretty good. We already established that Crystal Aegis is probably going to be the go-to. And we've been focusing on our Q a lot at level 1 and 4. So I see no reason to stop focusing on our Q now. We do have Blinding Flash, which can help mitigate damage from auto attackers. So Vala, Jim Raynor, Illidan, Thrall, Sonya. You can really reduce the amount of damage that those guys are going to deal. It's a 4-second blind if you hit the center target. Now keep in mind, this only has an 8-second cooldown anyway. So if you hit that target right in the center, if you hit that Illidan, if you hit that Vala, it's going to stop all of their damage output, or at least a majority of it, for 4 seconds, and then 4 seconds later you can just do it again. And we already increased the radius of our Q, which makes it easier to land that center damage and easier to land that blind. Then we also have enemies hit by the outer area are pushed slightly towards the center. I think this one is going to combo really well with characters like Kerrigan, really well with characters like Tychus, Li Ming, Cleave Greymane, if he's going in werewolf form and really just cleaving everybody down, because it allows you, let me show you, if you don't hit someone in the center, it kind of groups them all towards the middle a little bit. It may be hard to show here. Let's go ahead and toggle off cooldowns. So anyone that's on the outside, see, they're going to be kind of shifted towards the middle. And we already have the radius increase. So that means we're going to be pulling people in from a wider range and collapsing them in front of us from a wider range because of our early talent choices. It's going to be really, really good for enabling your damage dealers to deal more damage. Now, it doesn't really benefit us in any capacity. But it's worth thinking about. It's worth remembering. If you're trying to help your allies just burst someone down, I can't imagine not picking this up with a Li Ming on your team. It's just so strong. I would definitely keep this talent in mind. Maybe not the best for every situation, but I would definitely keep it in mind. Actually, the one I like the most, I know I said we were going to focus on our Q. Let's go ahead and reset. Blah, 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 blah. The one I like the most is Piercing Lash. This is going to cause your E ability to pierce all targets that it hits. So we're in the middle of a team fight. Let's say 2 people break off and they're chasing you. Your E ability can now knock both of these targets back into the wall. Now keep in mind, it's not a very big skill shot, but knocking 2 people back in most cases, even if you're just running away, even if you're just trying to get away from death, not even trying to stun them, knocking 2 people back instead of 1 is really good. Because keep in mind, you don't have any slows, you don't have any escapes, you have no way of getting back away from people other than your E. So making sure multiple people are hit is probably a pretty good idea. Also, the stun potential of hitting multiple targets, and if in the early game you got the slow as well, all of a sudden you're slowing more than one person if you're able to stun them. Again, situational. It's going to be really hard. You're going to have to practice the character a lot to really land these stuns all the time. It's going to take drastically different positioning with the Little Mermaid here than any other character, because you're always going to be wanting to look for these opportunities where you can push someone into an object like this and position appropriately for that. So it is going to take practice, but it could be very good, for sure. Repelling Strike, the other talent in the tier. Again, this is level 13. Enemies hit by Determined Strike are knocked back 35% farther. So again, making that stun a little bit easier to obtain. It is important that while you are using this, don't just, especially if you get the upgrade, don't just use your ability because you feel like using your ability in the middle of a team fight. Don't use it just for that tiny little 200 damage of the initial impact, because you're just going to be messing up the damage output of your damage dealers, the people you actually want dealing that damage. If you get the knockback, it is only for situations where you know you can land that stun, and it does make it easier to land that stun. But it's worth mentioning, you're also going to be pushing the kill target further away from your damage dealers, and that can be extremely detrimental to the flow of your team fight. Think about Haymaker. How many times have you seen Haymaker just fuck you over, and no one's able to capitalize on the Haymaker because the Muradin just knocked that motherfucker into the next ball field? Kind of the same idea. It's a good talent. It can definitely have some amazing plays. You just have to position for it and use it for the stun, not for the just initial damage and the knockback. Again, not one I would recommend in my normal build. We're going to go for the Converging Force. That's the one I like, personally. Just clumping everyone up for your team, I think is really, really strong. Or... actually, I keep bouncing back and forth between these two. I kind of like the Pierce. We're going to go with the Pierce. We're going to go with that. I know I keep changing my mind. I'm sorry. We're going to go with the Pierce so we can knock back multiple targets. Then at level 16, Reservoir of Hope. This one is so interesting. It is so fascinating. In fact, I see this getting nerfed. I see no way that this can stay in the game. Let's talk about it real quick. Each maximum energy ray of heaven that Auriel casts increases the maximum amount of energy that she can store by 75. So we're at 1,908 or 1,198 energy right now. If we pick this up, every time we heal, we're at 1,500 now. We're at 1,600 now. And you can see the stack at the bottom of the screen. It's going to just keep getting bigger. We're at 10 stacks now of this maximum heal. And remember, we're healing for exactly as much energy as we have. Okay. Now that I'm thinking about it, it will be harder to fill this up. I guess I am playing with no cooldowns, right? So you don't fill up your energy faster. It's still going to be hard to fill up your energy. But once you do, I'm going to be healing for 3,000 right now. 3,000 on a single heal. On an area of effect heal. That's crazy. So, let's go ahead and turn off cooldowns. If we drop that, it will be a little bit more time consuming. It'll be a lot more time consuming to get that energy back. But already, this was our maximum heal before, and it's only a quarter of the energy or a third of the energy that we're able to build. I thought this would be really interesting to combo with the Searing Light at level 1. So if we're able to go into a fight, if we're able to deal this damage, and then also deal damage with Searing Light when we're trying to just heal our allies, that could be crazy strong. And I'll test the numbers of that before the stream's over. But I just wanted to bring that to your attention. That is really fucking good. Like, really fucking good. We also have Will of Heaven. Allies with Bestow Hope gain 20% attack speed. Remember, while they're out there dealing damage with Bestow Hope, they're going to be generating energy for you. So if you're giving this to an Illidan, Vala, Jim, Raynor, any auto attack character that's going to be attacking a lot anyway, they're going to get a lot of value out of this, especially Illidan. Will of Heaven is a great talent for Illidan because you're probably going to have this fucking crown on him the whole game anyway. And he's going to be able to deal a hell of a lot more damage with 20% 10% attack speed. Then we have Wrath of Heaven. Allies with bestowed hope gain 10% ability power. So they didn't want you just to be able to boost auto attackers. She's a little bit more versatile, and she's able to give this to characters like Li Ming, who get resets and are able to do a shit ton of damage, increasing that ability power. So Li Ming could just blow up a team, could be very, very strong. So I honestly think there's a talent for every situation. You can kind of see what your team has, see what you feel like building, and then pick your talent according to that. I mean, if you don't have an Illidan, if you don't have, let's say you have like a fucking Rexar, and I don't know, let's come up with some quick match team comp here that's arbitrary. A Rexar, Little Mermaid, Stitches, fucking... a Liebig and a Gazlo. You probably don't want the auto attack, and you can just go for the reservoir. And you probably don't want the ability power at that point too, just because there's only going to be one person that's benefiting from it. So I think each of these has a place, and you can pick them accordingly. I'm really excited about Reservoir, though. We have a new sponsor, Jacob Peters. Thank you for supporting the channel. And then at level 20, she has some really fucking interesting stuff here. We have Shield of Hope. Activate to grant all nearby allied heroes a shield for 3 seconds equal to 50% of the amount of health that they are missing. So it's a scaling shield that you pop when someone's getting very low. Keep in mind that she is a little hard to do consistent healing on just because you have to keep generating this shield. Or the energy for your healing, excuse me. So the shield allows you to kind of give yourself a little bit of a buffer when you need that little bit of a second before you can kind of top off your allies. It's just a great way of keeping them alive. It only has a 45-second cooldown. Her healing definitely comes in bursts, and it's kind of based on how well your team's performing anyway. So I think it's important to remember that. Definitely a good option. This is one I didn't see coming at all. Angelic Flight allows Auriel to fly to a chosen location. Like I just do this. What? so we're air burden now? What? I don't understand. Why do we have this? I don't get it. Where does this come from? I mean, it's cool. I like it. But it's like you're at the point where you didn't have global presence the whole game. Brightwing is good because she has global presence the entire game. If you're in a 1v1, Brightwing can be there and make it a 2v1. If you're in a 2v2, Brightwing can be there at any point in the game and make it a 2v3. Same thing with Falstad. Same thing with Dahaka. You don't really count on globals this late in the game. By this point in the game, everyone's going to be together, everyone's going to be moving, you're going to be team fighting. So it seems weird to give her this fly this late in the game. But there are some opportunities you can make for yourself with it. So for instance, we have our E ability now pierces multiple targets. So let's go ahead and toggle off cooldowns. Let's say we're in a position where, well, let's fly over here. Let's say we're in a position where our team is defending this wall. We're trying really, really hard to defend it. And the enemy team's pushing in. I could theoretically fly behind them, just like this, and then push them back into our tower. So kind of the same mentality as Hinterland's Blast. You can get behind them and do that kind of stuff. Also, it's worth mentioning that I could then put myself in my ultimate, and we can engage really hard and kind of push them back into that crystal and deal that damage. But you're initiating with your only damage immunity, and that feels weird. I don't know, man. It's cool. I like the idea. I like the option to have a healer. We need more healers with global range because there's only one that does that right now. But really, what are you going to accomplish with this? I don't... By the time you get it, you don't really need globals anymore. So while it is cool, I don't know how effective it'll be. The other option at this tier is we have a lot of talents to pick up, is Diamond Resolve. When the Crystal Aegis respires, it grants a shield that reduces damage taken by 50% for 4 seconds. So not a shield that's going to last for super long, but it could be decent. I think that... so let's go. Let's see that damage resistance. So it's kind of like an Ignore Pain from a Discipline Priest or something. I think the better choice in the tier, pretty much every time, is going to be the Shield of Hope. Being able to give someone a physical shield that absorbs damage is going to be pretty good. And it doesn't really... It's only a 45-second cooldown. This is a 60-second cooldown. I think the Shield of Hope is going to be better in more situations than this. And then the upgrade to the Resurrect would be light speed increases the healing of Resurrect by 100%. So it's a 1.5 second cast. Is that correct? Math? Can someone math it for me? It's a 3 second cast before. You increase it by 100%. It's a 1.5. Is that correct? And the allies maximum... increases the healing of Resurrect... Oh, fuck me. I should have read more. Increases the healing of Resurrect to 100%. So ignore everything I just fucking said. Instead of them coming back to life at 50%, it'll be 100%. And they also gain 200% movement speed that decays over 4 seconds. So that's what the ability actually fucking does. So when they pop up from being resurrected, they'll be able to run really, really fast. So fucking, how does that help you at all? Like, you still have the same problem of it being a cast range of about this. You have to walk up to their dead body, channel for 3 seconds in the middle of a team fight. In that time, no one's going to be healed. No one's going to be CCing. It just doesn't seem good enough. Neither of the Resurrect talents seem good enough. And I understand the balancing there, because bringing someone back to fucking life, like in the middle of a team fight, getting 1 kill is a big deal. You instantly have a numbers advantage and you can be more aggressive. Bringing that person back to life is a big deal. It is a gigantic advantage for your team. It can allow you to reposition, re-coordinate, and push back in. I understand why it's been so heavily balanced and why it's going to be so hard to use, but in its current state, I don't see any reason to pick it up. It just doesn't seem worth it all. Anyway, so the build I would recommend for just general all-purpose use is going to be increasing clarity at level 1, majestic span at level 4, energized chord, crystal Agus, and then piercing lash, reservoir of hope, and shield of hope. Very versatile build. You do a little bit of everything. You're going to be focusing on spamming your Q a lot and getting that center damage bonus on the enemy team to increase the amount of energy that you have. You're also going to be focusing on channeling or getting in these auto attacks in between all of this damage, because that's going to be a great way of returning that energy to you as well. And then the Reservoir of Hope is just, I feel like there's a bug here. Yeah, let's go ahead and leave and come back, because resetting the talents never actually reset our energy back to the original location. So you kind of have to build that up. And it was already built up and it wasn't going back down. Okay, so piercing lash, reservoir of hope, and then shield of hope. So throughout the course of the game, you're going to want to focus on your Qs, always landing your Qs, always getting someone in the center, and then channeling these getting these auto attacks. I don't know why I keep trying to say channeling auto attacks. That is quite literally the opposite. And then getting these auto attacks in to also increase your energy. The idea is you want to gain as much energy as humanly possible, and after level 16, only heal if you are at maximum energy, if you can afford to do so, because that is going to increase your maximum energy pool and allow you to deal, allow you to heal for just massive amounts. And while it may not be easy to generate 3,000 energy in the middle of a team fight and heal for 3,000, but it's pretty easy to generate energy with your auto attacks in between team fights when nothing's going on. You go back to your base, you clear a lane, and all of a sudden, if you have worked on this throughout the course of the late game from level 16 on, all of a sudden you could enter that team fight with a full heal on a warrior, and that could be crazy strong and could completely change the course of a late game team fight. And I think it's really interesting to give this kind of a scaling change to a healer. A healer. Like, normally when you're talking about carrying games, you're talking about warriors, you're talking about melee assassins, you're talking about mages. But to give this kind of a oh shit button that a healer can sit around and work on and immediately be able to have a gigantic impact on a team fight, I think that is awesome. I think that is amazing. And that's, I do feel like more healers need to have that kind of attention given to them. Now, with the Reservoir of Hope, it is worth mentioning that you could also go with Searing Light at level 1 and still do a relatively similar build. I would still increase the radius just because it's good. I would still get that. I would still get Crystal. I would still get the knockback in a line. You could also go for the slow after the stun on enemies with your E, but I don't know. And then you get Reservoir of Hope again, and all of a sudden we can come in here, let's just say we're dueling this guy, we could just drop our W, and it could deal damage as well. Let's toggle off cooldowns. I want to see how much this can get up to. So it's 400 damage, 500 damage, so while you're doing these massive heals, you could also be nuking the enemy team. And I think that's interesting. I think it's interesting that she has that flexibility. It's kind of like Holy Shock for Uther, but good, because you can still get the healing out of it if you use it on an enemy hero. So I think those are all the points I wanted to make about The Little Mermaid today. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, please be sure to hit the thumbs up button. Again, this was done in a live stream format, so those of you that are here and you watched all the way through, please don't forget to help me out. I am going to be playing some Dark Souls here in just a little bit for the channel, and I'm actually thinking about opening some Overwatch boxes here soon because they just had some Rio content added to the game for the Olympics. And I needed an excuse to play more Overwatch anyway. Like, I want to make content for it. I've just been procrastinating so hard. So thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you found this build helpful. Hope you can use it in your time in the Nexus once The Little Mermaid is fully released. And I will see you all next time. Okay, bye.